In 2021, the District Municipality of Muskoka received provincial funding through the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks to conduct 12 technical projects coined Making Waves. The projects aim to examine existing conditions in the Muskoka River watershed, explore ways to reduce the impacts of flooding, and enhance watershed health. These projects will lay the foundation for an integrated watershed management approach for the Muskoka River watershed that seeks to manage human activities and natural resources together on a watershed basis, taking into consideration the connected interests and needs of the environment, economy, and society. The district has led the projects with assistance from an established community roundtable, which includes representatives from the Muskoka Watershed Council, area municipalities, local businesses, and various community organizations across the watershed. The reports and accompanying video presentations for the 12 projects have been prepared by consultants who specialize in the subject matter.
Hello. My name is Jordan Petronero, and I am an ecologist at LGL Limited. This slide contains our project title, Public Access Inventory, Muskoka River Watershed, and an image of a boat launch ramp. I am presenting our project on the public access inventory within the Muskoka River watershed. This slide consists of the title, Integrated Watershed Management, followed by a bulleted list and an image of a water body. LGL Limited was retained by the District Municipality of Muskoka to complete one of 12 projects to establish the existing conditions within the Muskoka River watershed. These projects are being undertaken to support the future implementation of an integrated watershed management program within the Muskoka River watershed. Our project was part of the third phase of work. This slide is titled The Watershed and contains an image of the Muskoka River watershed boundary. The goal of our project was to complete a public access inventory within the watershed of the existing aquatic and terrestrial access points. The Muskoka River watershed spans several upper-tier municipalities, including the District of Muskoka, District of Parry Sound, County of Haliburton, and the District of Nipissing, along with their lower-tier municipalities. Aquatic access points were defined as any site from which a watercraft could be launched, differentiated into 3 categories: trailered boat launch, canoe launch, or beach. Terrestrial access points were those which provided access to a trail or a park, with categories consisting of trailhead, park, or trailhead and park for access points that had access to both. Each access point then underwent a context-sensitive assessment to infer implications of social, economic, and environmental factors present within the watershed. This slide is titled Project Overview and contains 2 bulleted lists and an image of a survey on an iPad. LGL compiled data on existing public access points through a variety of means to gain information on social and economic sensitivities. LGL created a public engagement survey distributed on the district's social media platforms and a second identical survey distributed to the Muskoka River Watershed Community Roundtable, or CRT. Open source data was collected to identify natural heritage features as well. The slide is titled Public Access Inventory Checklist Assessment Criteria and displays a table of the social criteria used. From feedback received from the CRT and public engagement surveys, social criteria were established, which focused primarily on amenities and facilities at a given access point. The social criteria differed slightly based on aquatic and terrestrial use. However, the main criteria focused on the presence or absence of garbage receptacles, parking lot, washroom facilities, signage, and accessibility for those with disabilities. Aquatic access points were also evaluated based on if there was a trailered boat launch, a canoe launch, or a dock. This slide is titled Public Access Inventory Checklist Assessment Criteria and displays a table of the economic criteria used. Economic criteria were also derived from the 2 surveys distributed and were found to be the same for aquatic and terrestrial access points. These criteria included location in relation to distance from a settlement area and commercial zoning and business area. We use a distance of 400 meters as this represents an approximate 5-minute walk. We also considered year-round accessibility as a third economic criteria, as there are many activities that can be enjoyed year-round. This slide is titled Public Access Inventory Checklist Assessment Criteria and displays a table of the environmental criteria used. The environmental criteria list was derived from the natural heritage components found within the Muskoka River watershed. There are 9 sensitivities for aquatic access points and 7 sensitivities for terrestrial access points. The top 6 are the same for both access types, which pertain to species at risk, special policy areas, wetlands, and areas of natural and scientific interest, or ANSI for short. The remaining sensitivities are related to a specific type of access. So, for example, aquatic access points were evaluated within proximity to lake trout lakes and fish activity areas, whereas terrestrial access points were considered with their presence to significant wildlife habitat. The following 4 slides are titled Public Engagement Survey Results and display a pie chart of the results for the 4 individual survey questions. The Public Engagement Survey received responses from 428 people participating compared to the 9 received from the CRT survey. For this reason, we relied on the Public Engagement Survey results to form the basis of our social and economic criteria. These results indicated a much broader range of geographic coverage across the watershed, with 50% of respondents residing within the township of Muskoka Lakes. The residence type that was most observed was either a primary or secondary residence, which had both road access and waterfront access, which made up 64% of the combined results. Those that had waterfront access with no road access made up 14%, and those with no waterfront access made up 18% of the total. 4% of those also resided outside of the Muskoka River watershed boundary. When asked about the amount of access existing currently within the watershed, 2/3 of respondents thought that there was just the right amount of access, while approximately 1/3 believed that there was not enough. A variety of responses were received based on how users chose to visit a certain access point. However, proximity was the most common response received, with 35% of the responses. This slide is titled Public Access Points by Municipality and contains a table breakdown of the number of access points per area municipality. Once all of our data was compiled, LGL had identified a total of 411 public access points. 230 of those were aquatic access points, and 181 of those were terrestrial public access points. For each access point, a value of yes was assigned when an access point met a social, economic, or environmental criteria, and a value of no or unknown was provided if the social, economic, and environmental criteria was not met or could not be confirmed. We then tallied all of the yes values for the total score of each criteria. A higher total score for social and economic criteria were viewed as more favorable, therefore seen as a positive score. However, the reverse was observed for environmental criteria, where a higher total score was seen as a negative, thus not favorable, and this demonstrated that there were more environmental sensitivities nearby an access point. The following 3 slides show figures to demonstrate the aquatic and terrestrial access points and their final scoring. As represented in the legend, for social and economic criteria, larger green symbols correspond to larger total overall scores. But for environmental criteria, it is reversed, where larger green symbols correspond to smaller total overall scores. This slide is titled Social Sensitivities and contains a list of the number of access points with each social criteria met, as well as an image of a driveway leading to a boat launch. For social criteria, the number of aquatic versus terrestrial access points are listed in terms of availability of garbage receptacles, parking facilities, washroom facilities, signage, and accessibility for those with disabilities. We also identified how many sites have a trailered boat launch, a canoe launch, or a dock for aquatic access points only. This slide is titled Economic Sensitivities and contains a list of the number of access points with each economic criteria met, as well as an image of a dock in front of a business. The number of economic sensitivity totals are listed here, including proximity to a settlement area or commercial business area. We also tallied the number of aquatic and terrestrial access points with year-round accessibility. This slide is titled Environmental Sensitivities and contains a list of the number of access points with each environmental criteria met. A variety of environmental sensitivities were found within the Muskoka River watershed, ranging from fish habitat type, lake trout lakes, fish spawning areas, wetlands, both provincially significant and unevaluated, ANSIs, both life science and earth science, Muskoka heritage sites and areas, significant wildlife habitat, and species at risk. The results indicated that the majority of public access points contained only one or two environmental sensitivities. This slide is titled Policy Recommendations and contains a bulleted list. In accessing the existing inventory of public access sites, several future policy recommendations were identified in relation to how the public interacts with existing access. The first being the overall goal relative to public access. Are improvements to existing access sites or the creation of new access sites to be designed with residents and taxpayers in mind, or from a tourist and visitor perspective? Is the goal to attract people to the Muskoka River watershed to increase usage of existing public access points, or to exclude the general public from existing access points? Another consideration is related to the distance between access points. A proximity analysis may benefit users to increase access points in areas of high usage, to better manage traffic at parking lots, trailhead access, docks, and boat launches. Additionally, islands provide a niche use for public access, as 14% of respondents had identified that they do not have road access. Changes to aquatic access should consider island residents to ensure that existing access is maintained, while future development should adhere to policy guidelines. Other recommendations are focused on accessibility for individuals with disabilities. The district's current multi-year accessibility plan was prepared for the years between 2020 and 2022. The next update of this plan provides an opportunity to consider improvements to trails, beaches, boardwalks, and boat launches to better serve this user group. This slide is titled Conclusions and has a bulleted list of project summary items as well as an image of a boat launch. Overall, the results of the public access inventory have identified 162 boat launches, 68 beaches, 80 parks, 55 trailheads, and 46 trailheads within parks within the Muskoka River watershed. 90% of the public access points were located within 4 municipalities, which include the town of Bracebridge, the town of Huntsville, the township of Lake of Bays, and the township of Muskoka Lakes. This project provides an initial snapshot of the existing public access points within the watershed, demonstrating the social, economic, and environmental sensitivities associated with these sites. There are many opportunities to undertake local small-scale initiatives to support and improve public access. Furthermore, there may be opportunities for capital project forecasts within member municipalities to address gaps this project has identified. Overall, as the results highlight the existing conditions of public access, this project should be considered in a broader context of the 11 integrated watershed initiatives that are being undertaken currently within the Muskoka River watershed. This concludes this presentation. Thank you for taking the time to learn about our public access inventory project within the Muskoka River watershed. Enjoy your day.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. To find out more about this and other integrated watershed management projects, or to learn more about integrated watershed management in the Muskoka River watershed, visit muskoka.on.ca/IWM projects.